Welcome to the second part of the chapter Constitutional Design. In India, people had just come from being subjects to being citizens of a foreign nation. Not everything about governing a nation was clear at this point. The reason for this was definitely the long years of colonial rule and inexperience of self governance. This was also evident when Nehru said in his speech that we have realized our freedom, our dream, not wholly but substantially. A lot more was needed to be done. As we have seen that India was born through partition, at least 10 lakh people were killed in violence. But not only this, the Britishers left it to the rulers of princely states to decide whether they wanted to merge with India or not. Now, because of which the task of merging was more difficult. But there was one big advantage. Much of the consensus about what a democratic India should look like had evolved during the freedom struggle. The struggle was not only a struggle against foreign rule, but also a struggle to reunite our own country. British gave rights or voting rights to only a few. In 1928, Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders drafted the Constitution for India. This constitution included values which were accepted by all leaders, like universal adult franchise, freedom and equality, rights of the minorities. Our leaders were very clear with the basic ideas of the constitution. Our leaders learned from the other countries and have adopted details from colonial laws, the Government of India Act 1935. We have taken the ideals of French Revolution which has inspired us, the practice of parliamentary democracy in Britain, Bill of Rights in US, and the socialist revolution in Russia. The best part is the makers were not just imitating but also questioning whether these things will suit India or not. Now, the important thing is to know who were the members or makers of the Indian Constitution. A group or assembly of elected representatives drafted the Constitution. This assembly of elected representatives were called the Constituent Assembly. In July 1946, elections to the Constituent Assembly was held. In the same year, after 5 months, in December 1946, its first meeting was held. However, in 1947 partition, not only the country but also the Constituent Assembly was divided into India and Pakistan. Many countries of the world had to rewrite their constitution because either it exists only as a piece of paper or the rules were not acceptable to all social groups. But this was not the case of independent India. Indian constitution had 299 members who were elected by members of provincial legislatures. The assembly was mostly dominated by the Indian National Congress that led freedom struggle. There was no universal adult franchise at that time, but even if there was, uh, composition would not have been very different. In the makers of the constitution, Mahatma Gandhi was not a member, but he had his own vision of what he wanted from the constitution or what he wanted the constitution to do. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who is known as the father of Indian Constitution, played a key role in the making of the Constitution. He often bitterly criticized Mahatma Gandhi and his vision. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, along with the drafting committee, prepared a draft. When printed, there were several rounds of discussions. More than 2,000 amendments were considered. Study for 114 days over 3 years. Every document, every word has been recorded and preserved. These are called the Constituent Assembly debates. Now, these debates are 12 bulky volumes. The Constitution of India is very long and detailed. Therefore, it needs to be revised quite regularly. The makers of the Indian Constitution did not see it as a sacred or unalterable law. They made the rules to include changes from time to time to keep it updated. These changes are called constitutional amendments. So, we can see that inspired the Constitution of India is a living document that undergoes amendments, and inspired from America, most countries chose to begin their constitution with a preamble. What is a preamble? Preamble is basically a short statement of constitution's basic values. Just like every book has a preface, a constitution has a preamble. It is the introductory part of the constitution. The Constitution of India begins with "We the people of India," which signifies that the powers lies in the hands of the people. It emphasizes on the ideals of sovereignty, socialism, secularism, and democratic republic. Sovereign, a nation is sovereign when it is free in its internal matters from any foreign interference and its external policies are guided by its own interests. Socialism is equal distribution to all sections of people. By secular, we mean that all religions have equal respect. Democratic means people have right to elect their representatives, and we are republic as the head of the state is an elected person with no hereditary right. The Constitution envisions social, economic, and political justice for all citizens of the country. It ensures all liberties necessary for an individual, such as freedom of thought and expression, faith and belief of worship. It also strives for equality of opportunity and status and safeguards dignity and promotes a sense of fraternity or brotherhood. The unity and integrity of the nation can be seen as the hallmark of the efforts of the government. The Constitution is very important in a democratic form of government as it delimits the scopes of activities of various organs of the government. Government cannot misuse its powers. The Constituent Assembly adopted Constitution on 26 November 1949 but was implemented on 26th January 1950. To make this day to mark this day, we celebrate this day as Republic Day every year. So that was all for this chapter. Thank you for watching.